really welcome all of our honored guests. I consider everybody here honored today, especially our veterans who are in attendance. And this is day 2 of our Heroes Weekend. We started a kickoff yesterday with a very successful Joe Enitzer Memorial 5K walk run. And actually it exceeded our expectations, especially with the environment that we're coming out of. But it was nearly 100 participants, actual participants walking and running, and had some really good times that came out of the first number of entrants that came across the finish line. I'd like to recognize a number of our really special distinguished guests. I won't go through much of an order. I think I'll probably go through, as I look at, people. So I'll start first, and very important, our new mayor of the village of Wappinger Falls, Rick Serino. Rick, thank you. And Ponte, who's just been elected to the board, and so welcome, Ann. Behind Ann is Christian Silvas. Is it Silvas? Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Christian, she's here on behalf of our Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney, and thank you, Christian, for showing up. Adam Roach. Adam is, first and most important, a resident of the town of Wappinger in the Tall Trees area, of the town, but also more important, he heads up the county veterans activities and is representing County Executive Marcus Molinaro today. So thank you, Adam. Senator Sue Serino, who of course is, really a champion of many issues, especially veterans. We'll talk a little bit more about that and invite Sue up here a little bit later. We have 3 of our board members standing right here to my left. Chris Phillips from the 3rd Ward, Al Casella from the 4th Ward, and Angela Bettina from the 2nd Ward. Following over here, we have Joey Cavazzini, who's our legislator, and he's representing all of our legislators today, at this ceremony. Bill, our councilman, that's here, for the 1st Ward. Kevin Hawthorne, and I want a special hand of applause for him and Randy. Kevin, is our deputy town supervisor, but also who heads up a co-chair along with Randy Ross. Randy's right next to him, both of them residents of the town, and they are, driving all this. And I'll talk a little bit more of that later. But also, they're here on behalf of also the Wappinger Veterans Affairs Advisory Committee, and also they have created a 501c3, so as to do other things which our town board may not be able to or has limited abilities to do it. So again, I think that's good. On behalf of the committee, I'll just mention that there's Kevin and Randy. Jessica is on the committee. Phil Dew, let's see, where's Phil? There he is. And also I want to mention, as we're talking about that, Philip has been really tirelessly supporting veterans causes. He's very much aligned with the veterans organization. He's the National Service Officer, the VA, I guess DAV is it? And he's also a resident of the town. So I welcome Phil here today. Also, we have Donna Lenhart. I don't know if Donna's here, but she's put a lot of time and effort into this event. George Gumbel, I saw George. Where is George? Okay, maybe I didn't see George Gumbel. Kathy DeLisa, and last but by no means least, our workhorse here in town, Tommy Mosh, who tirelessly puts efforts in. Yes, I will. And, we also have Sergeant Aiken from the Color Guard. You'll be seeing them shortly. And then last but by no means least, and I hope I didn't leave out someone, other than our Honorable Judge Ray Chase, who is also served tirelessly, and I've come to love him for all the efforts that he puts into the village, the town, and especially our veterans. So Judge Chase, it's really an honor to have you here, and we'll hear a few words from him later on. So thank you, and I think that we'll really have a wonderful program today. And now I'd like to call the Color Guard up, Sergeant Akins, please come up here and show the colors for our group. Thank you. Now I'd like to have everyone join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our great flag and country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sergeant Aiken, please retire the colors, please. In the back, right? One other guest I see is just arriving. I hope I don't embarrass him, but John Carge, who's the clerk for the village of Wappinger Falls. John is also a distinguished veteran and a very loyal supporter throughout the village and town. Thank you. Now I would like to turn the platform over to someone that doesn't need any introduction, and that's Senator Sue Serino, and she is instrumental, along with Kieran Lawler, in really bringing this event together. So, Senator, please come up. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for having me. And we wouldn't even, like, a lot of the legislation that we do in Albany actually comes from our constituents. So I have to say a huge thank you to the board, Randy, Kevin, for you guys and the rest of the board members for doing all of the work on this and bringing it to Assemblymember Kieran Lawler and I. And it's so nice, when you drive into Wappingers now to see this sign. This is my hometown. I grew up here, went to school here, and worked here, so it's got a special meaning. And when we think about our veterans, you hope that everybody says two little words, right? Thank you. They mean so much. It's kindness, respect, and gratitude. But this is another reminder when you see this sign of everything that our veterans have done for us. So I can't thank you all enough. And I have good news too. We got the Dwyer funding this year. I know Adam Roach has been a huge help in this event, and so have our veterans. We were fully funded, so that helps with our peer-to-peer services, and it's just great that it got fully funded. But every year they have to usually schlep up to Albany to fight for it, which is crazy. It should just be in the budget. But we got it, so it's a great thing. So thank you so much for having me here today. I do have a certificate for the supervisor and the board. Thank you so much for all of your work. And Kevin, yep, and Randy. Yep. Okay, so this is in recognition and celebration of the opening of the signs proclaiming Route 9 through Wappinger as Wappinger's Veterans Memorial Highway, with deep gratitude for all that the members of our armed forces have sacrificed for our country. So thank you, and God bless everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll leave this here for you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Dick.
No problem. Next, before I have some comments, I'd also like to invite Christian. Do you have something that you'd like to say?
Well, now that you said something,
yeah, please. Just a couple of words of greeting. Right, go ahead.
There you go. Of course I have something to say. On behalf of Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney, he supports the veterans, and he does all that he can. It's amazing to see what the town has done to bring together and take a small piece of land that everyone drives by every day and put a sign out there just to remind everyone, like, hey, we have a lot of veterans and we appreciate everything that they've done for us. So on behalf of Congressman Maloney, thank you to the veterans, and also thank you to everyone that was involved in making this happen.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, okay. Oh, no, we'll do it with you. Okay. We'll do it later on. Also, I have an apology. I don't know how I overlooked this giant of a man in so many different ways of his contributions, but Robert Rubin, who's also on our school board, but he's been tireless supporter, for us and for many causes, but most especially for the veterans. So thank you, Robert. Now I'd like to have a few comments, and then we'll get on the rest of the ceremony. Back in 2018, 2019, I envisioned, and also with the discussions with the board, a coordinated town-wide narrative, and initiatives to show respect to and honor even further than the town had, our veterans. We created the Wappinger Veterans Advisory Committee, as I mentioned earlier, which has done a tremendous job in being very proactive in this area. Shortly after I asked Kevin, who had become our deputy supervisor, my appointment because Bob Johnson had retired to the South. I asked Kevin, who's a distinguished veteran himself, to chair the committee. And Kevin, has done that, pulled together a very good committee, and also many, many volunteers. Today in the town, we have approximately 25 different initiatives, programs, and memorials dedicated to our veterans, many of which Kevin and his team have pursued relentlessly. On our short list of immediate future projects, not to detract from today, but we are always looking for volunteers to help us with those projects. We have a number of things coming up. One is our Hometown Heroes Banner program. On the board, that's being championed by Angela Bettina, Councilwoman Bettina, and also Chris Phillips back here. There's Boy Scout program, which the board just approved the other day. One of Tommy Mosh's really cause celebre in the town is to help with our cemeteries, but particularly Middlebush Boy Scout program. That's being strongly supported and championed by Councilman Beal. Is also going to be taking place shortly. That's a cleanup, but also putting split rail fences as well as some other things to that wonderful park. Also, one of the programs that we've had, and every year, is located at Sergeant Palmatier Memorial Park. Councilman Beal and I are working along with the board to increase the parking space and further beautify that, and that's also going to happen, we hope, shortly. And also, last but not least, we are relocating and rebuilding the wonderful memorial that we have out at Martz Field. This is the Daniel Martz Memorial. He was a major. And this is something that both Councilman Casella and also Chris Phillips are championing. So I'd like to say that this is just the tip of the iceberg. We have a number of other initiatives that you'll be hearing about during our board meetings in the coming future. So please give a round of applause to all these folks and the volunteers that are making this possible. One of the cornerstones, and I say this truly as a cornerstone of our initiative, our veterans, is this Wappinger Veterans Memorial Highway. I guess it was about 2 years ago, and Kevin will talk a little bit more. I suggested to Kevin and Randy that we put something into place, and he'll talk about what happened next. Very proactive, and we're very proud to have that. And I'm really proud to see all of our board members here today, even some under weather. But they have enthusiastically embraced and endorsed what we're doing for veterans within our community. And also, I haven't had much of a chance to talk with the mayor, but we've have discussed how we can further enhance the cooperative spirit on this type of initiative as well as others. So I really welcome Mayor Serino in this endeavor. Thanks to the strongest support from Senator Serino and also Assemblyman Kieran Lawler for their dedication to this program to making it happen in Albany. A lot of legislation doesn't get approved and doesn't get funded, but this one we did, and they tirelessly supported getting the governor to sign this bill, and so they made it happen. So again, I want to thank you, Senator, and also Kieran, who's not here today. So, without further ado, and I'm sure you don't want to hear me talk anymore, I'm going to move on so that our next discussion will be a combination of Joey Cavatini, who's representing our legislators in the town, but also he and Adam Roach will come up here and have a proclamation or something that you'll present. So Joey and Adam, come on up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. First of all, thank you to our veterans, everyone that's here today. This is huge. I'm so happy to actually have an in-person event and get everyone back here socially distanced and safe, but to celebrate and recognize our veterans here today. Before Adam and I present the proclamation on behalf of our county executive, I've often said that our town was built by people with great heroism, innovation, and passion. On days like today, I'm led to reflect on the great heroes from our great town of Wappinger who served to protect our freedoms, and ultimately, some of them gave the ultimate sacrifice. I think of heroes such as Ensign Alexander Joseph Butsko, the first Wappinger resident from the town of Wappinger to die in World War II. Private First Class Kenneth Arthur Brown from Chelsea, who was the first Wappinger resident to die in the Korean War. Major Daniel Martz, the first Dutchess County resident to die in Vietnam. And Sergeant Mark C. Palmatier, the first Wappinger and Dutchess County resident to die in the War on Terror. These individuals had their lives cut short in defense of our freedom. Our town has long been served by brave men and women in our armed forces and supporting our armed forces. During the American Revolution, Wappinger was strategic with assistance from Brigadier General Jacobus Swartout from Swartoutville in our town. He served as the commander of the Dutchess County Militia and worked alongside founding fathers such as George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, in the creation of our nation. I also think about Nicholas Brewer Sr., who was the builder of the Mizzier homestead in this village. He gave the Continental Army and George Washington his shipyard to be developed as a port for the strategic military encampment and supply depot at Fishkill in southern Dutchess. His son, Adolphus, was actually killed on one of the boats built at this shipyard delivering strategic supplies to West Point. He fought for a country that he never got to see. During the Civil War and World War II, the factories in this village produced much needed supplies and materials for our troops and supporting the war effort. In looking back on our great history, it is only fitting to recognize these great accomplishments and these great heroes by dedicating Route 9 here in our town as the Wappinger Veterans Memorial Highway. I'd like to thank again the town board, Kevin and Randy, Senator Serino, and Assemblyman Lawler for their efforts in getting this highway dedicated. So thank you very much. And Adam, of course, is our Director of Veterans Affairs for the county. I don't know if you want to read the you want? Oh, geez. Well, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but County Executive Molinaro sends his best wishes that he could not be here today, but ultimately presents this proclamation to the town of Wappinger. Now, therefore, I, Marcus J. Molinaro, County Executive of Dutchess County, do hereby extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the veterans and the incredible sacrifice they have made for all of us, as well as my support for the new Wappinger Veterans Memorial Highway. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey, and thank you, Adam, and County Executive Marcus Molinaro. Next, I'd like to invite up members of our town board. If they'd like to say something, I'll start with our first ward, Councilman Bill Beal. Bill?
Thank you, Supervisor. Look around you today at the veterans that gather here on this day. The gentleman holding the sign, it is the veteran. That's the reason why we are here today. So if you are a veteran, make yourself known. Raise your hand if you're a veteran, so we can all applaud you for your service to our country. Thank you. 40,000 cars traverse this major thoroughfare each day through the town of Wappinger and the village of Wappingers Falls. And along this highway, we gather each year in the village at the Major Joseph W. McDonald, POW MIA Memorial Park to remember our military service veterans and the hardships and sacrifices they made and continue to make to preserve our freedom. The Major Joseph W. McDonald, POW MIA Memorial Park is named for U.S. Marine Corps First Lieutenant Joseph McDonald, who went missing after piloting a May 3rd, 1972 mission in Vietnam. A resident of Wappingers Falls, he will never be forgotten. He is my cousin. The Major Joseph W. McDonald POW MIA Memorial Park is the first POW MIA park to be dedicated in the United States. It sits on this highway. Along this highway, we gather each year in the town of Wappinger at the Sergeant Mark C. Palmatier 9/11 Memorial Park to pause as a community in real time as we remember the moments that forever changed this nation on September 11th, 2001. As we approach the 20th anniversary of that dark day, each year we continue to pay tribute to those who lost their lives on that fateful day and in the days following, in the war on terror and from 9/11 related illness. The Sergeant Mark C. Palmatier 9/11 Memorial Park is named for Army Sergeant Mark Palmatier, who made the ultimate sacrifice on June 26, 2008 during Operation Enduring Freedom. A former resident of the town of Wappinger, he will never be forgotten. That park sits on this highway. Within this great town, on the William R. Steinhaus Dutchess Rail Trail, this town hosts the Veterans Memorial Mile, on which our inaugural Joe Ennisser 5K was held yesterday. An effort that we continue to remember our veterans. Parallel to this highway is New York State Route 9D. In 2005, Route 9D, from where it meets this highway southward through the town of Poughkeepsie, village of Wappingers Falls, town of Wappinger and beyond, was dedicated as the Hudson Valley POW MIA Memorial Highway. In this community, we greatly understand that we owe our veterans a debt of gratitude, and we must do all we can to keep our veterans at the front of our minds and our community's minds. Today, ladies and gentlemen, because of the hard work and dedication of our town's Veterans Advisory Committee and our state representatives, and of course, our veterans, I believe we are fulfilling that duty today, as this town and this village has the distinct privilege of hosting the Wappinger Veterans Memorial Highway. Congratulations to all involved. Directly, I thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Next, I'll invite Councilwoman Angela Bettina, who has tirelessly dedicated a lot of time and energy to the veterans, particularly our Castle Point Hospital. So, Angela, please come up. Thank you.
Thank you for lowering this. First, I'd like to thank everybody for coming today, taking time from your personal lives to recognize this great cause. We often think of our veterans for the ultimate sacrifice that they've all given us so we can enjoy our freedoms. I'd like to thank the village, the town board, Susan, our senator, Karen, our assemblyman, our great guys here that work tirelessly to support our veterans. But I do ask you, when you are out in the supermarkets or the stores and you see a veteran with that special hat on that said he served or she served, thank them. See if there's anything you can do for them. See if you can buy their groceries for them, or maybe just give them something from the heart and let them know how appreciated they are. We have disabled veterans, we have women, we have men, we have K-9 units that have all given to help us enjoy the lives that we have. So let's all reach out and thank them. And I think this is a wonderful thing when people come into our town and our neighborhood and see this sign, how much we care about the people that give to us and have given the ultimate sacrifice and still give. So thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here and part of this town and neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bettina. Our next councilman's from the 3rd Ward, but he likes to stay behind the scenes tirelessly. I can't tell you how much he dedicates his time and effort to the veterans' causes. So I'll pass over him, not intentionally, but just out of his request. And I'll turn to Al Casella, who represents the 4th Ward, and also he and Chris work together on many projects because the boundary lines are very close to each other. So Councilman Casella, please come up.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So I'll make this quick. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak today on this wonderful occasion. As many have mentioned before, this is the 2nd day this weekend I've had the pleasure to honor our great veterans. Yesterday we had a tribute for our veterans at the 5K run at the rail trails, the first annual Joe Ennisser Veterans Walk. I was proud to be one of the many sponsors of that event. My father was a veteran of the Korean War. After great sacrifice and many lives lost, my father came home. He never spoke about the war as there were many painful memories. I stand here today, though, to honor my father and the many veterans who went through the same sacrifices and that did not come home. My father was very fortunate to come home, so very honored about that. This dedication is great. It's for renaming the road to Wappinger's Veteran Memorial Highway. Veterans are the real life superheroes that we have. They put their fears aside, they face danger in order to keep the rest of us safe. Thank you all very much for your service. Also, I want to thank Senator Sue Serino, Assemblyman Kierman Lawler for bringing this bill forward to the governor to have the highway renamed. Also, we have a couple of great people on the Veterans Committee. I'd like to thank Kevin Hawthorne, Randy Ross, for being instrumental in driving this event and this effort. Without your help, this would have never moved forward. Again, I'm very honored to be here today to speak at this event. I want to thank the veterans again and have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Casella. Before we turn over and we get into the most important parts of the program, starting with Judge Chase, then Kevin speaking, and then the unveiling, I would like to reach out and again thank our wonderful, town of Wappinger, basically based MSTAR team, who have always dedicated their service to be at our events just in case something may happen. They were out there yesterday as well. As you know, we have 2 units that are based out of our emergency services building, one of the few such programs in the county and actually in the state, right, Councilman Beal? And also without the tremendous support of our Sheriff's Department, who help us throughout all the events. The village is great in coordinating police support for us when we are holding events here. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that. And I also do want to mention our state troopers that also work out of our town emergency services building. Before turning the podium over to Judge Chase, I'd also like to thank our various sponsors for this weekend. We have 2 of them here today. Please go and say hi. I believe Outback has some nice fruit cups for the taking. So thanks to them. And so I have a great honor of turning the podium over to a good friend, but also very important member of our community, Judge Ray Chase.
Good morning.
Good morning.
From the great state of Wappingers Falls. I must tell you, I had, and I'm going to mention some people, Raymond Chase Sr., Raymond Chase Jr., Raymond Chase III, and Thomas Chase, all served in our armed forces. I'm a 50% disabled vet. And I must quote what my father said. I says, Dad, what did you do in the service? He told me words that I should live with the rest of my life. Son, I did my duty. He came home in poor health. And doing so, when people go down this road, all I want them to remember is that the veteran was there. And the important thing is, freedom is not a given thing. We gotta earn that every day of our lives. Whether you're a senior citizen or just beginning of your life, whether you're a veteran or a civilian, do not ever forget that freedom is given. We must do that. I just got a couple of words to say. Look at all of us veterans. We're a band of brothers and sisters, trained by the Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Navy, and Marines, all from different backgrounds, all remembering that freedom would not be there unless they served. Whether they served in the White House or on the battlefield, my father's name and what he said rings in my ears. Son, I did my duty. So when I leave here, as I look around to each one of the veterans, they're here because they want to be here. They served, whether through the draft or volunteer. They wanted to do that. Now let's just hope in the future that we have the same set of values and citizens. And I leave you with these words. Do not worry, do not be afraid, and do not let your heart grow cold in the defense of freedom in this great state, the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Judge Hayes. Much appreciated. Now I'll turn over the final closing remarks, and they'll lead us down to the unveiling. So Kevin and Randy, please come up here. And again, let's give them a round of applause because they've done a tremendous job. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll make this really quick. I can't add much to what everybody has said, although Sue and Kieran, and can't leave out Lydia and Kira, because they did an awful lot of work that Randy and I got started with a push from our supervisor. The main thing that I want to say about the signs that are, oh, by the way, they're where Randy and I decided we really wanted them, so the DOT came through for us. I want people to drive by the signs and feel good that we did that. We're doing the same sort of a program as the Village. It's going to be the Hometown Heroes banners. I've got over a dozen banners getting ready to be put up by, I'm hoping, May 1st. I'm hoping that when people drive by and see Sergeant Palmetier's banner and all of the other veterans, they'll feel good. And Commander Chase referred to the younger folks, and we're talking to high school kids. When the high school kids drive by the banners, it'll make them feel good, hopefully, and they will continue to enlist in the services, so that freedom is never going to be free, and it'll always be fought for. So thank you very much for everybody who came today, and thank you for everybody who was instrumental in the signs.
Good morning, everyone. It's about 2 years ago, Kevin and I
started the Wappingers Veterans Advisory Group to acknowledge the support, knowledge and support of veterans, active military, and their family. I'm here today to honor my father, who's 95 years old. He's a World War II veteran. He could not make it here today, but he's here in spirit. So I am here for him. Since I'm the last one to speak, I'm not going to repeat what all these wonderful people have said, but I do need to thank a number of folks. Yesterday was an amazing and exciting event. I think Kevin and I were both very, very pleased with the outcome, pleased with the amount of people who showed up, and the support and the kind words that were spoken about the event. Today is the second part of our Heroes Weekend, an idea that Kevin and I came up with because we just didn't want to leave the race as it was. We wanted to honor the veterans in a further way. But this whole thing really couldn't have been done without our supervisor, without our town board. Senator Serino, who's been amazing throughout this whole thing. Lydia, who's been amazing. Assemblyman Lawler. The state DOT, which I had a few words with. Kevin, I don't know if he did, but the location of the signs was a problem in the beginning. But we took care of it, and we just really enjoy where the signs are now. To conclude this ceremony, we're going to walk very carefully right around. Route 9 will be closed off. The one lane will be closed off. We're going to walk over there. Kevin and I will unveil the signs, and then taps will be played by Danielle Masterson, who's right over there. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate it, and we'll see you right around the corner.
Considering that road's actually happening.
Yeah, I know. I didn't realize.
Yeah, I know.
Great job. That was great.